All right, FFA, what's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome to this Friday Fusion call. Today's going to be an awesome call for you because we have some of the top agents, but also some of the top builders coming on to give some of their agents a shout out and to share a tip with you on just how to be a successful agent. So going to be a great call. Got some updates for you guys for production numbers. You know, we've always done it before where we did it by the week. So we had 52 weeks in the year. For promotions, we would run it where you had to do a consistent 8 weeks. We are changing that for 2025. And the goal behind it is to make it even simpler for you. And really not easier, but I think simpler, but it kind of is an easier process to hit your next promotion now. So instead of doing it by the week, we're going to run production by the month. So we're working on January's production. We'll have that out to you guys coming up early next week. But the way it's going to work is you're going to see all of your production for the month of January. Then you'll see February. So it's a lot simpler. We're going to do it by the month. Promotions will go for back-to-back months. What that means for you is as you're running for these promotions, some months have 5 weeks versus 4, right? And so you're potentially getting a bonus week to help you hit that qualification. So super exciting there. I think it's going to be a game changer in streamlining production. It's also going to make us more efficient on being able to get that production out to you guys on a quick pace. But amazing job this week. All right, big shout out to a lot of you guys. You took that annuity training and then ran out there and are flooding in the fact finders. So great work to you. On the life side of things, you guys have been absolutely crushing it. I love seeing a bunch of new faces there in the agency chat, posting applications and getting field trained. So without further ado, we're going to jump into today's call. I'm going to bring on Alicia first. Alicia's got jokes today saying that she's my boss. I was going to change it to assistant, but I didn't. But who do you want to give a shout out to? What tip do you got for everybody today?
So my shout out is for Kirk Williams. Kirk has blown up 2024. He wrapped up the year with a huge bang. And coming into 2025, he is doing the exact same thing. So sometimes it's difficult to wrap up a great year and keep it flowing into the new year, but he is doing that. My biggest tip and takeaway from what I've noticed that Kirk is doing is he's implementing call to closes, even though he's a seasoned agent. He has been an agent for, I want to say 3.5, maybe 4 years now. And he's still implementing the call to closes on a daily basis and reaching out for coaching. He's blowing up my phone, your phone. So that's my tip, is take away what Kirk is doing, call to closes, coaching, communication, and super proud of you, Kirk.
It's a big shout out there. Big shout out to Kirk. He has crushed it. The month of January was huge for him. And just like you said, always doing call to closes. So love that. What's another tip you have for an agent that's wanting to build a team? You're like the queen of building. You're the founder of the company. You've pretty much crushed it since you started. What's your tip?
The tip is that just like you're knocking doors every single day or you're dialing every single day, hire every single day. This company changed my life. Insurance has changed your life. You're the only person holding back it changing someone else's life. So don't be afraid to ask people. Don't be afraid. Yesterday afternoon, I went and got a facial, and the girl that was doing my facial was like, I'm looking for another job and I'm thinking about going to nursing school. And I was like, hold up, let's not do nursing school. Let's sell insurance. So you just never know. And she brought that up to me, that she was looking for another job and thinking about pursuing a nursing career. So everyone out there is looking for another job. Everyone out there deserves to hear from you and to hear your testimony and your story. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Again, you're holding others back from being successful in this business, just as you are successful in this business.
Love it. There you go, guys. Take down the tip from my one and only boss, Alicia. So I love that. Alicia, I'll get you off the feed here. We're going to go next. Who do I want to put on the hot seat next? Let's go to Kelly next with Honey Rock. Kelly, you are live to the feed. So big shout out to Kelly. Not only I know you guys have heard her on one of our previous calls, but she is crushing the personal production, but she's also got a lot of momentum team building too. So Kelly, who you want to give a shout out to, and what's your tip for everybody?
So my shout out is going to go to Josh. Ever since he first reached out to me, he's just had such determination from finishing the course super fast to diving into making calls, and he's since closed his first 3 sales within the last week. So we're just super proud of him, and he has big goals, and we're excited to see what he does here. So shout out to you, Josh. And then I would say my tip is for agents who haven't built a team yet but are interested in doing so. I would say to treat this opportunity like a gift in a sense, because it is. Just sharing it with everyone you meet, because building a team is like selling insurance. The more people you talk to, the more success you'll have. And I feel like too often we assume who will or won't be interested, but some of the best agents are the one that we least expect.
That's awesome. I love that tip, Kelly. Hey, let me ask you this, Kelly. For Josh, right, being a brand new agent, you trained him, coached him up, and he's just been off and running, making sales left and right. What went into that training for him? Like, so some, there's a lot of agents that might have 1 or 2 agents working with them. They're trying to build a team, but it's hard to get that, your agent to produce right away, like to find success. I think it's so important for them to see the results quickly. And that's one thing I've noticed about you and your whole team is you guys bring agents in and boom, they're selling and making money. So what's a tip you have for training and onboarding?
So besides carrier knowledge and trying to make sure you know everything with the carriers that you're selling, Zoom has been really helpful for our new agents. We keep Zoom open and we're live dialing. And when they get somebody, they're unmuting or we're unmuting and we're helping people live through the chat. It kind of feels like an office in a sense, a Zoom office. So I feel like that's the biggest thing in helping our new agents make sales is making sure you're with them, feeding them information they might need live.
Love it. Well, I appreciate you on for being on here, Kelly. Great work to you. And big shout out to Josh running for Rookie of the Year this year. So I'm excited to see it. So thanks for hopping on here, Kelly. All right, next up, we're going to go down to Savannah next. Savannah, you are live with us. Awesome. Shout out to you and your whole team. You guys have crushed it. You've been an agent with us for as long as I can remember, like the all-time writing agent. And so big shout out to you for that, but also building a team too. So who do you want to give a shout out to and what's your tip?
I want to give a shout out to Jenna and Becky because every time they go out into the field, they kill it. They're amazing. They cease to amaze me. They're doing so good. I'm proud of them.
That's so true. It's funny when I run production, every carrier that we pull, the very first 2 agents that are on there is Jenna and Becky. It's just like nonstop with every one of them. So big shout out to them. And Savannah, you've been doing this for years now. You've been a top agent. By top, I mean like agent of the year top. So what's your tip for an agent who just wants to find success in this?
My biggest thing when I first started, like I was so hard on myself, and you can't be hard on yourself. But my tip is don't give up and keep going because you can get so frustrated. We all have bad days. We all have good days, but don't let the bad days get to you. Just keep going.
Love that. How do you overcome the bad days, Savannah?
You go back out there and pretend it's a new day. Let's go because it's never going to be another bad day. Like door slammed on you. That's not often, but yeah. You will overcome them. It's gonna get better. I promise you. You just have to keep.
I love that tip, Savannah. I appreciate you for jumping on here, guys. That tip's coming from an agent who has personally wrote hundreds of thousands of dollars of insurance on her own pen, not even including what her team's done. So big shout out to you, Savannah. I appreciate it. I appreciate you jumping on here. And Jenna, Becky, crushing it like always. Next up here, I'm gonna go to. Who's next in my feed here? Let's go to Taylor, the leader of the Bomb Squad. Taylor, thanks for jumping on here. So, hey, shout out to you. You've been one of the top team builders that I know, right? Right off the start. So who do you want to give a shout out to and what's your tip?
Well, good morning, Ryan. And I want to give a shout out to Rebecca. Rebecca has I think she just woke up January 1st and she was just ready to go. All of January, she not only was like the top agent on the Bomb Squad week after week, but she also was one of the top agents pretty much every single week for our entire company. She just has been so consistent, like week after week after week with leads and communication. She's already done a Zoom already with me, you, and Alicia for January and February. She's just on a roll, man. And it's not like she's busting out, these huge weeks. She's just being as consistent as she could be, just getting out there and getting it done day after day. So I'm just very proud of her. I cannot wait to see where she goes this year because she is off to a killer start. She's very focused and very intentional. So I appreciate the heck out of her, and it's an honor for her to be a part of all of this with us. So I'm excited to watch her this year. And then a tip, something that's a big part of just not only building, but I would say this career is communication. Communication's gotten me in trouble in the past. It's gotten some agents in trouble in the past, and it's a two-way street. Having an open line of communication with your agents, but also being an agent and having that communication back with your coach. When you're not communicating, too many things are assumed. Maybe it's too much negative is assumed or too much positive is assumed. Maybe you're assuming that this agent is doing great and you don't need to worry about it, and they're not. Or maybe you're assuming all these negative thoughts and none of that's even happening. So I would say one of my biggest things is keep the communication going. Keep that open line of communication with your coach, but also with your agents, and just give each other grace, because if you're an agent and you're out in the field, I know how it is. You've got your phone going off with current clients. You've got your GPS going. You've got our WhatsApp chat going. You've got all these things going all the while you're trying to knock doors. So I get it. Things are going to come up and you can't constantly keep that communication going with your coach. But also on the flip side, your coach is also trying, their best to keep their agents going all day. And you might be the one agent that day that they didn't get to reach out to. Don't get in your head about it. Just throw your coach a text. So communication and grace is what I would say.
Yeah, I love that tip. It's so true because this business is a lonely business if you don't do that. Like if you're on the phone selling from home or you're in the car by yourself, right? If you're not like tuned in to the group and you're not communicating, you're going to struggle as an agent. It's like you just have this way of playing to the same level as the people you're around. And if you're not around those people, then you only know, don't know what you don't know, So I know some agents get into our WhatsApp and they're like intimidated because you see agents posting all these sales and they're brand new and they're like, I'm not experiencing that right away. Right. So, but it's just the same thing, right? If you're cold and you get around the fire, you're going to warm up eventually. So love that tip, Taylor. Awesome job to you guys and your whole team. So I appreciate you for jumping on here. Big shout out to Rebecca, crushing it like always. Top agent in the top 5 every week to start this year. And same thing on her production report, pretty much everything she writes gets issued, paid, approved. It's good business. So love seeing it. Taylor, thanks for hopping on here today. Next up, let's go to Sam next. Sam, you are live with us. So big shout out to you, right? You just came aboard last year, right? Early last year was your first full year, crushing it on the personal production, crushing it on the team production. So who you want to give a highlight to and what's your tip?
So I'm going to give 2 agents a highlight this week. Keisha being the first one because she just got over dealing with the flu and so did I, and that's just rough. So she got an app in yesterday, so I just want to give her a shout out for coming back after having that. And then I want to give a shout out to Kayla. Kayla did great field training this week. I'm excited for her. It's kind of funny how the cards work. She trained me at First Watch, which is the job that led me to insurance, and here I am training her in insurance. So I'm super excited for her. But those are my 2 that I'm shouting out this week. And my tip of the week would be just don't sell yourself short. Don't give up on yourself. If it's 4 or 5 o'clock, hit up your call to close if you haven't gotten anything yet, and just keep going. Keep that one more house mentality, one more door. This week, I have made it home past about 8:30 to 10 o'clock every night, just about, but it's been worth it. I've got to protect a lot of lives this week, meet a lot of cool people, so it's been a great week. So just don't sell yourself short.
Love that tip, Sam. Big shout out to those agents too for crushing. I'm excited to see Kayla get started. And Mykesha, shout out to Mykesha. I did a coaching call with Mykesha, I think last month. She has the best personality. Like, she's going to do very, very well here. I could just tell. So big shout out to her for getting that application. And I'm grateful that you guys are over the flu finally, Sam. I know that was like creeped in pretty bad. Sam, what's one more tip you have for an agent who wants to build, doesn't know where to start, right? One thing that I love about what you did is the minute you got started, you wrote, but you also recruited and built at the same time, like concurrently, right out of the gate. So the agent that wants to do that, how do they do it?
Don't be an undercover agent. Social media is such a huge arsenal at our hands, literally in our fingertips. People don't know what they don't know about you. But if you're out there posting, hey, like I just got to work, a 3-day work week and I made this and I protected this, so on and so forth, and they see you and they see it consistently, they're going to want to know what you do. Kind of like what Alicia said, right? They're going to want to know. They're going to want to, come along with you and see. And then once you do it, just don't stop. Don't let your foot off the gas. Building comes in waves. It's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight, but just like the field, if you stay consistent with it, it's a numbers game. Some of my best agents came just from a quick social media post and getting to know me. So I would recommend social media. Just put yourself out there.
Love that tip. Appreciate you, Sam. Appreciate you for jumping in here, and hats off to you and your team for crushing it here. Next up, let's go to Joni next. Joni, I'm adding you to the live feed here. So big shout out to what we call the J team, because every one of their names starts with a J. And if it doesn't, they have to legally change their name to start with a J. But no, just kidding. But you guys have crushed it like always, Joni. You've been a top agent, top builder with your team. And so just want to pick your brain. Who's the agent you want to highlight, and what's a tip you have for everybody?
Good morning. I just want to make sure, can you hear me okay?
I got you, Joni.
Okay, good. I was making sure this microphone was working good. But anyway, good morning. Definitely want to give a shout out to Jody, first and foremost. So she obviously has killed it since she started back in January of last year. And she is just like unstoppable, really. I feel like, so from the beginning, she just soaked in everything she could for as long as she could before she even went out in the field while she was still working her on the job. And then she took literally everything that I taught her. She took it and implemented it. Didn't really ask, why or try to change thing or do it her own way. She literally just took what I told her to do and said, trust me, please do it this way. And she did it, so I think that really just leads to, the reason for her success. Number one is, just following the form, that we have to train and to make sure that you're doing the same thing every time and being consistent. But then, to Jody and who she is just, she's somebody, you guys see her, she's got an excellent personality. Everybody loves her. They always do. And she just really genuinely cares about these people. Like I know that most of us do, here in FFA. So, and truly just wants to help them. So it just shines through for her, but not only Jody, Jess now has hired Megan, and Jess is doing phenomenal. She is, training for the first time, a new agent. And so that is really nice to see. It's nice for me to not actually have all of that stress. So she's got it now, and I'm just sitting back watching, but
there you go. Put her to work, Joni. Put her to work.
But she's doing excellent. Jess is doing wonderful as a trainer. Megan is doing great as a new agent and getting out there and really learning a lot and about ready to be on her own full time. So just really proud of the whole team. Really, everybody is just doing a great job.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited to see the momentum. Same thing with big shout out to Jody. She's going to be very difficult to beat for Agent of the Year this year. So anybody that's running for Agent of the Year, Jody is going to be like your target that you're going to want to try to run against. It's going to be hard to beat her. Every time I pull up WhatsApp, she's posting another sale. So big shout out to her, and same for Jess. It's a big jump going from being an agent to then doing the field training. And I've seen her post training with Megan this week, and they've just been getting into house after house, posting sales. So big shout out to her for that. And welcome to the team for Megan as well. Joni, what's your tip for an agent who just wants to find success in this industry? What would you give to them?
It's such a broad ask, what is a tip? So it took a little bit to think about it, what I would want to say. And really right now, it's very, very basic, is just insufficient funds,
Mhm.
Those emails that we get on a regular basis, especially right after the third hits, and when all of those payments did not hit. So even as long as I've been in this business, I still, have to admit that I'm not great at keeping up with that and following up with clients on a regular basis and making sure that they always get back on track in a timely manner. And I think that is the biggest thing. Sometimes I'm guilty of letting it go. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I've got other things to take care of, which are important. But the people that we have on the books, we've really got to keep them on the books. And it really came, it really came full force about a week ago. I got a phone call. I was on the phone with another client, and I just got like 4 or 5 calls in a row, one after another, from a number I didn't know. And then so finally, called it back when I got off the phone, and it was the daughter of a lady who I remember very clearly. I remember sitting on her bed in the back of her trailer, out in the middle of nowhere, and her very first payment never went through, and it was almost 2 years ago. And she was calling me because she found my card, or my folder, and her mom had just died, and her mom had no insurance. So it was just a really big kind of eye-opener for me, that if I would have followed up and did what I should have done back then, maybe that family would have been in a different position. So just make sure we're following up with people that, whose drafts don't go through, and we're keeping their coverage in place for their family, really.
That's such a great tip, Joni, and one that we don't really talk about that much, but I love that you mentioned that, because I can relate to that too. I've had similar instances where missed draft, I either didn't know it missed a draft, or I forgot to follow up with it, or whatever. Same thing, they passed away, the insurance isn't enforced. And so, guys, if you're an agent on the call, you struggle with, like, you're not like a confrontational type person, so you're afraid to call your client and tell them like the draft didn't go through. Don't be like that, right? I promise you, if you sold the policy 9 out of 10 times, they want that thing. And so just call them back and say, hey, Miss Betty, I don't know what happened. Issue with the bank, issue with the company, but the draft didn't go through. We got to reprocess it today. And you would be shocked at how grateful they would be for you to do that as an agent. And guys, it's going to increase your production significantly. Everything that you write will stay on the books that way. So Joni, I appreciate that tip. Big shout out to you and to your team. And thank you for tuning in and sharing with us all that information today. So nice work to you guys. Next up, I'm going to go over to, let's go to Kelly next. Kelly LeGrand, I'm coming to you live on the feed. Kelly, are you with us? There she is.
Hey,
she's coming on. I got you, Kelly.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Kelly. So big shout out to you, right? Agent of the month to wrap up 2024. Building, you have a lot of people in pre-licensing. I know you were on a call with us just recently, but I wanted to bring you on because I just wanted to hear who you want to give a shout out to, and what's another tip you have for everybody?
Hey, so I want to shout out Jennifer Bullens. She has had a really hard week, one of those weeks that we all have, right? She's had so much activity that she's put up, and she's reviewed so many policies. I don't even know at this point how many. And it's just, they've been all in good places that she just couldn't help them, right? But through it all, she has just been so positive, and she's not giving up, and she's going back out there today to crush it. I know today's going to be her day. And it just shows during the hard weeks, it shows, your determination, or if you're going to persevere, if you're going to give up. And she has just blown me away with her attitude, how positive she's been. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm super excited to see how 2025 is going to be for her, because I know she's just going to crush it.
Absolutely. I want to give a big shout out to her too. I'm glad you mentioned her, Kelly, because looking at her call to close thread, one thing I was so impressed with, it was either yesterday or the day before. She sat down with a lady. She reviewed, I think, I don't even know how many policies this lady had. It was a lot, like 4 or 5 of them. And she had all the information written down And she reviewed all of that and then asked to see if we could help her in any way. And when that lady ended up, due to her health, she was in a good spot. She was still able to add on a little bit of coverage, but she just did the right thing, right? Like, guys, as agents, if you're not uncovering every stone, you really don't know if you're going to be able to help your client or not. And that's one thing she's very good at, is getting all the details mapped out. So big shout out to her. Kelly, anyone else you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, Jennifer Garner, she's always
Mhm.
killing it. She's the neighbor not queen. So, and then Cindy,
Yep.
she's doing her telesales. So I'm really proud of. I'm just proud of all my agents. They're just doing so good. So
That's awesome. They really are. Jennifer crushes. She was on a call here recently. She had a record week, dominating it. And then big shout out to Cindy too. Cindy's been crushing those phones. And so I love seeing that. So Kelly, what's your tip for an agent? You know, you've came into this, you've been a high writer individually. You've also been building a team. What's the tip you have for somebody?
you just have to put your head down and go to work. I think just staying focused in what you're doing and just, not complicating it. I think so many times people come into this and they want to overcomplicate it. And I know I am like the queen of, I want to know why I'm doing this. I want to know all the details of everything, right? I want to micromanage it, but you can't do that here. You've got to trust your coaches. You've got to be coachable. And you've got to just go to work, put your head down and do your job, help somebody, so just stay focused and don't stop.
Love that tip. Just put your head down and go to work, right? It seems so simple, but people just overcomplicate that so much. Like if you're an agent, you're ever struggling, I promise you, if you just stopped thinking so much and went to work, all your problems would go away, right?
That's
So
it. Activity
that's the
cures
key.
everything.
That's so true. Well, Kelly, I appreciate you for jumping on here. Big shout out to you and your team for doing big things. I appreciate the tip as well. Last but certainly not least, we're going to go to Jess next. Jess, you are live with us. So big shout out to you. I think it's maybe first time on this live feed, but Jess, you've been an agent with us for years now. You've dominated it, personal production. Now you're taking on the builder's hat and building and training. So who you want to give a shout out to and what's your tip? Oh, hey, Jess, you're muted. Your mic is muted.
Sorry.
There you go. You're good. I got you.
This is why I don't come on here. So I'd like to give a shout out to Megan. She has been absolutely the perfect person. We've actually been friends for years, so that kind of helps me. Training because I don't like to ride in the car with people. So I told her, I said, we got to get you trained because I like my lawn. I'm just kidding. But she's been doing phenomenal since day one, since she started taking her test. And I always said, if I would ever hire, that hadn't been one of my biggest things yet. But I always said if I did, I would know from the beginning, if they were gonna be a good fit. Because even her test, she would text me every day, where she was at. So that was good for her. And then we've been at my house. We've been kind of doing the hybrid thing, doing both the telephone and we're in the field. So today's the day, and we had some hiccups. We've been all, been sick. So, like the very first time she was here, I just threw her on the phone and, she did, because I just believe like with my experience is that, if you don't teach an agent to get on the phone right away, they're never going to pick it up. Was the first thing, we just dialed for appointments, and her very first day, I think she set like 3 appointments, which was awesome. I don't know. She's just doing amazing, and I'm proud of her, and she's not scared to do anything. I mean, we were at Food Lion, and I was like, Megan, go talk to that guy in that car over there. Go. And she was like, is that what y'all do? And I'm like, yeah. She did that. She's just not afraid or, scared to do things. And I love that about her. She's always asking questions. So I'm really proud of her.
That's awesome. Big shout out to Megan for coming aboard. Now, Jess, let me ask you this. So, you've been doing this now where you've written at a high level. Now you're doing the building. How did you introduce this opportunity to Megan? Like how, you said you guys were friends for a long time. What how were you able to go about, showing her this and then her wanting to come aboard and work with you?
I think it was just, like social media. I've posted things because I do love, talking to people, and the phones are hard, but and
Mhm.
realize that now that out in the field, I'm loving it. I forgot how much I liked it, but
Mhm.
I just blanked out. What was your?
Yeah. Did Megan reach out to you to work with
Oh
you, or did you
yeah.
reach out to her?
I think like she's, seen the posts. We've
Mhm.
hung out before, and we talk about, she was, welding, and we talk about what I do, and so it was kind of just been over probably
Mhm.
2 years now. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
And then one day I think we talked, and she was just like, welding is just killing her body. And so
Mhm.
she was interested in what we do, and we talked, and I think I called her a few times, and whenever I was talking to a client, and so I let her listen, and so then she kind of became intrigued, and started taking her test, and now she's here.
That's awesome. I love that, Jess. Guys, if you're trying to build a team, that's a similar story to how a lot of your top agents will start. They see what you're doing, they're watching you. You might be friends with them here, there, and eventually it's just the right timing and they need a new opportunity, and there you are. So Jess, what's your tip for an agent? Let's phrase it this way. If an agent is struggling right now, what's the number one tip you would give them to flip it around and have a big month in February?
I think I just listened to a podcast about this. If they were struggling, like you mean like struggling at the door or making
Yeah,
phone calls.
let's just say, they're just, maybe they're getting told no, but maybe it's just they're in their head, right? They're just having a tough go at this industry. How could they flip that around?
Well, my thing is, I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of
Mhm.
books, and I had just heard this yesterday, and it's what I like is, if you're struggling, um, go for what you're struggling with. If you don't want to do it and you're feeling anxiety, then you're gonna do it.
Mhm.
Because then once you do it, you're like, oh, you figure out that it is okay, and that anxiety can, release, and we can fix it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I did Megan, when we were dialing for appointments, or we just, got on the phone burner and we were
Mhm.
dialing. She was like, I can't do this. I'm not ready. And I was like,
Mhm.
yes, you are ready. It doesn't matter. I have 300 leads here. It doesn't matter. You're dialing to dial.
Mhm.
Smile and dial and just see what happens. She was sweating and shaky. I'm like, it's okay, Megan. And the reason I made her keep going, it wasn't to just make her do something, because
Mhm.
once the phone rang and I told her the first dial or first house is always the most anxiety. And once you
Yeah.
start getting going, it does go away. And she did. I think she told me a few times she was about to put her shoes on and just leave. And so I was like, Megan, okay, let's just do a few more. And then she
Mhm.
got into it, and she was like, okay. And she kept going, booked. And then she booked a few appointments. And then after that, she was good. She was like, wow, I do feel like my anxiety went down. And so my tip is whatever you're having trouble with, if you're scared to not, like I get nervous too.
Mhm.
So I just know that whatever I'm struggling with that day, I need to go do it.
Yeah. That's such a great tip. I love that tip, Jess. So true. Usually, whenever you're anxious about something, it's a sign that you need to do something for whatever you're anxious about. If you are delaying picking up that phone call to set appointments, that's a sign that you need to go do it. If you're nervous walking up to that lead's door, that's a sign that that's the door you need to go knock on, right? So, such a
And
great tip.
I just have one
Mhm.
more, and another thing is, like too with new agents, like if you're out there and you knocked on the door and you had anxiety and you struggled, and it's happening over and over, just please reach out to your call to close, because
Mhm.
I reach out to Alicia a lot, and as soon as I hear her voice or her positive and sounding, it gives me confidence. So I'm like, okay, this is easy. So it's just
Mhm.
your call to closes always make you feel better, and that's what they're there for.
Absolutely. I appreciate that tip too, Jess. That's what we're here for, guys. We're here to help you win, right? And in your call to close thread, I promise you, whatever you are experiencing, somebody in that call to close thread has already experienced it and overcame it, so they could help you do the same. So Jess, I appreciate you for jumping on here. Big shout out to you and your team, and super proud of you, Jess, for going out there, putting on that builder's hat, recruiting, field training, and taking on that new role. So nice work to you. Guys, I think that's all we've got for you on today's call. Everybody that tuned in today, I appreciate you guys for watching. All the builders that were able to share some tips. We'll have more of them on for you guys next week. But thank you guys for coming on and joining us and sharing those tips with everybody. That's all we got, guys. It's Friday. Okay, we've got today. We've got the party tomorrow night, and I'm very excited to see everybody there. So let's go finish the week strong, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.